Hello, hello. Bonjour à tous. This session is going to be in English, so just to be... So welcome. My name's Alissa DEMOREST. I'm the editorial director of Femme de Luxe magazine, and I am joined today by Greta from Casa Zanoni and Liisa PALATU from Woola. And we're here to talk about a collaboration that they've done and that they continue to do together on packaging for e-com shipping. So we have 20 minutes together. We're going to start out with a brief description, or if you could just tell us a little bit about both of your companies, and then we'll jump into the project itself.
Okay, I can go ahead and start. Hi, everyone. Woola is using waste wool to replace plastic bubble wrap. I have a sample here so that you'll have a better idea of what we're doing. So we're making these kinds of packages. It has a wool layer on the inside and a recycled paper layer on the outside. And we founded the company in 2020, and the idea came from the fact that my co-founder and myself, we used to run an online store, actually. And that's when we saw that there was no replacement for plastic bubble wrap. So we started testing out different materials to find something that could replace bubble wrap and will be sustainable. And it was very difficult. Nothing really worked. And then I read an article saying that 90% of sheep wool goes to waste in Europe. 90, yeah. So in Estonia, where our company is based, it was... like almost all sheep wool was just going to waste. And we thought that that's such a shame because wool is like a natural miracle material. It regulates temperatures, humidity, so it felt like the perfect way to replace bubble wrap, and that's what we started doing.
Okay, great. And Greta?
So, me is Greta. I'm running Casa Zanoni. Mainly is an e-shop, e-commerce about food, Italian food. We born in 2020, as you, with the pandemic, and starting to sell our own products coming from Italy. I actually met Woola last year, so is new, like
at this show.
New connection
at this show.
Yeah, it was a LUXE pack, but not here. It was at the Modéré. On the left side, and I met Nicola, which is in front of me, the salesman, the sales buddy. We had a good connection. Just all I do in life is all about good connection with people, and we started to. Well, my background, I have to say, is from fashion. So I'm very sensitive about all the fabrics, can be wool, can be silk, can be natural fabric in general. And at the same time, when I met Nicola, I was looking for some, I would say, biodegradable fabric to use instead of the bubbles, like plastic bubbles that we...
Because Casa Zanoni is just e-commerce, right? 100%.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I saw the wool. At the beginning, I just saw the envelope. And I remember at the time, the ceiling was about plastic or something like this. So
PLA, yeah.
I say, actually I can use it, but if I have to ask the people to cut it on the side, to be composted and all the stuff, say it's too complicated. I don't want my customer just, get the package, start to cut. So let's say with Nicola what we can do, and he said, actually we have the sheet, like the blanket. 1 meter of 1.20 meters, something like this. And I can actually say, okay, let's try, give me some samples so we can try to do. I send few packages to the customer and see what they will react, because it's natural wool, so for someone could be smelly, but it's just the natural smell. And for others could be a genius things to do, because actually you can use it. We do compost at home, so I can put it in my compost and keeps the warmth, warm for the winter, which is all the the universe you have around, which is interesting. You know, you can actually use it. Some people, I know I have some customers, they use it, they do blankets for their cats, you know, just to scratch their, and that's it. I think it was fun, and just the idea not to use any more plastic for me was just, you know,
because you started out with bubble wrap? Is that you started out with bubble wrap?
It's the easiest way. When you are on the e-commerce, actually, you don't have many options.
Sure.
And that's why I visit LUXE, because I wanted to have some biodegradable stuff. I say it's not possible to be in 2024 at the time,
right,
and not having one company that does, you know, something. Recycle is good, but it's not enough. So that's Woola.
Okay. And Annalisa, can you explain to us the different grades? Because she said that she first tried the envelope and then there are the sheets. So can you just give us a little summary of your range, what you offer?
Yeah, so the envelope is definitely our most popular product. Like, most of our sales are for the envelope, because we have two main customer groups. So one of them is e-commerce companies who are shipping fragile things like cosmetics, jewelry, electronics, also food. But for smaller items, this product works the best because it's very compact. Like, it's very easy to pack. You just put your item inside, and then you close the envelope. There's a glue strip. So a lot of our clients who used to use cardboard boxes, they chose this because they're saving a lot of time, because they don't have to assemble the cardboard box. It's faster.
It's more lightweight as well.
So that really depends on the kind of cardboard they have. So the weight is not the main thing we're selling here. It's mainly the fact that it's plastic free, and it's also faster to pack. And then we also have the wool sheets that you can see on the photo here, what Casa Zanoni is using. And then we also have sort of fancier option of the wool sheet. It's called a bubble wool. And it's very similar to the wool sheet. So it comes in a sheet format, but it has this kind of bubble pattern pressed into it. Yeah, it's a new product.
Okay, that wasn't the one that you launched with then, because I remember when it first came on the market, there were some wonderful visuals of the sort of rounded.
Yeah, that was actually the very first product that we launched back in 2020, but it was a bit different back then because we've also done a lot of product development along the way. And when we first started making our products, it was a blend of wool and PLA that we used, because our old production technology was based on heat pressing, so you needed this kind of binding agent to press it. So when Greta, you mentioned this edge of the envelope, that was PLA. And from this year, we switched to a different production technology, so we're using 100% wool. So this envelope here, it doesn't have any PLA, any additives, it's just wool. And we use this production technology that sort of keeps the edges together, as you can see from here. So that was the change that we made this year.
And Greta, what were some of the challenges? I mean, in terms of price, for example, it's obviously not the same price as plastic bubble wrap.
I can say it's not a big difference.
No?
You know, it's probably slightly more expensive, but actually you can use it. You can use the same. You don't have to use more, even if it looks thinner. It's resistant. So sometimes.
So it wasn't a big economic sacrifice to switch.
Absolutely. And honestly,
if it had been, would you have done it anyway?
I think I've tried at least, the first year, and then put the figure together and see if it's. But the customer, I think well, you have to do compromise sometimes, and right, when it's not a big amount of money, you can.
Right.
I mean, it's better for everybody.
Sure.
For the customer, for us, for the planet.
Right. And how do you communicate that to the customer? What this new?
Just a newsletter to announce that we will replace, step by step, we will replace the bubble plastic, and then I just send a couple of boxes to we choose two very good customer. We send it out with like you received, like this, and just to see if they will receive it correctly, no broken olive oils everywhere or stuff. So everything was good. Okay. So, and then we adjust, we don't have always the same boxes to send, so we adjust if you have more glass bottle or other stuff, and so we adjust. Sometimes we add some, the chips, the little chips you can put on the back, which is same. You can it's like based of mice.
So corn. Okay.
Corn, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. What about you in terms of communicating? I know that the end consumer is not your client, but what do you do to communicate the properties of Woola?
Yeah, so we actually sell all of our products branded or co-branded. So the envelope is like an easy example. You see that there's like text here. And the text here is to give the information to the end user in terms of what to do with it. So we keep this
in afterlife, in the
afterlife,
next...
but also what it is, because
okay.
For a lot of people, it's still the first time that they're receiving their purchase in this packaging. So obviously they want to know what it is. So we are kind of taking care of this so that the client doesn't have to do all of this work and answer client emails and stuff like that. And also one important part is that we have a guide on how to repurpose the wool.
Right.
So even though it's 100% wool and you can use it in your compost bin and things like that, there are actually a lot of things that you can do with it before you throw it out. Because like I mentioned before, wool is this natural miracle material. So we started organically getting ideas from end users. They started sending us pictures on what they do with the wool. Okay. So it regulates temperatures, right? So for example, if you have a very warm summer day like today, you can use the pouch as a wine cooler. You can do the same for a teapot because it also regulates heat. Then some of our clients in Norway, they cut out shoe insoles from the wool and placed it inside their shoes because it absorbs humidity and also keeps your feet warm. You can use it as mulch. And actually, I think one of my favorite things is from some of our clients who sell perfumes. They spray perfume on the wool part, and wool locks in the scent for months, and then you can just put a hanger through the wool pouch and hang it in your closet, and it's like a scented pouch, basically. So we list all of these ideas on the packaging, and then obviously we also have our certificates here. We're a certified B Corp, so that's the kind of communication that we do.
Wasn't the scent of the wool one of the challenges that you mentioned? The consumer could be very sensitive to that, the fact that the wool has a smell and it's not always a great smell?
For the smell, yeah, then, as we say before, you need to have compromise, so not all the wool smells. Sometimes we have one blanket on 10 boxes that can be, more natural smell than others.
Right.
Then it's not something very, honestly, I had one customer over 4,000 boxes sent, so.
Okay.
And it was just, just to let you know, I think it's smelly a little bit.
Right,
it's okay, it's not.
Right.
We do wash the wool, so it takes away most of the...
It would tell us, where do you source the wool? Does the wool all come from Estonia or from other sources?
Yeah, so we source it directly from Estonian farmers. We built our own supply chain for wool because we wanted to make sure that we're only working with small-scale farmers. We don't want to work with factory farms because it doesn't make sense for us to support that industry. So we're sourcing the wool directly from Estonian farmers, and then we wash it. So to comment on the smell, it takes away most of the smell, so it's clean, but still, wool is not plastic, fortunately. So plastic doesn't have a smell, but wool, you still smell
plastic
it.
Plastic does have a smell, actually.
Plastic smell?
Yes, it does. Or it can. And so were there any challenges in this project that you had to work through?
For me, honestly, everything.
And what advice could you give to other brands that are, considering this kind of alternative packaging?
I don't know. Honestly, I say go for it, because if someone asks me, do you like it, or would you go back to plastic? No, absolutely, I won't go back to plastic.
Okay.
Honestly, unless they don't do wool anymore, No, for me, it's a good choice, and
Okay.
I think we can go ahead with Woola easily, and is a great product. Honestly,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm very happy. This is 1 year after, but I'm very happy.
And is Casa Zanoni one of your only fine foods clients, or do you also have other? What is the breakdown of your customer base?
Yeah, Casa Zanoni is definitely like a special client for us because we don't have any other fine food clients. Looking at Nico as well to confirm, right? Yeah. So most of our clients are from cosmetics and jewelry industry, and then we also work with the luxury segment. But France is our main market. Most of our sales go to France. Yeah.
Okay. What else did I want to ask you? The question of, it's a little bit like the question of smell. When we're in luxury goods, there's a demand for perfection. Everything needs to be perfect, replicable. Has that been an issue for you with your clients? The fact that wool is a natural substance, so it's imperfect, and it's not, every sheet is not going to look exactly like the next one?
Yeah, I mean, define perfect, right? Like right now, using plastic, which leads to climate change, is also not perfect for the clients that we have in the luxury sector. So when we first started working with the luxury sector, our products went through very intense tests. They really tested everything because quality is very important, especially in the luxury sector. And in terms of like the performance of the product, there were no problems when compared to plastic. So all the drop tests, the heat tests, things like that, it works just as well as plastic. And everything else is just a question of like mindset and compromise, like Greta mentioned. Wool is a natural material, so there are some sheets that are like, 1 millimeter bigger and things like that. But this is the very small compromise that you have to make if you want to get rid of plastic, which I mean, if you're looking at today's weather, you understand how urgent this issue is.
Absolutely. And we're seeing other wool-based packaging solutions come to the market. Thai is one of them. Am I pronouncing that right? Yes. I think they are actually at the show here today. Yes? Okay. I'm looking at my colleague. So I think it's catching on. I think it's something that's, when you think about the figures. In fact, we had a slide. For the results of this collaboration in terms of environmental benefits. Sorry, I don't know how to use this little remote control. Yes. Can you comment on that? Can you or one of you?
Yeah.
I mean, it speaks for itself, but
yeah, I can give a quick comment about it. So with Casa Zanoni, we have sold 4,000 parcels worth of packaging. So 4,000 parcels of plastic has been avoided, and we also calculate the amount of wool that we have sold, and that's equal to getting 3,200 square meters of plastic out of the way. And with this, we have also saved 681 kilos of wool from going to waste, because without Woola, this wool would be burned or buried in total. So this has been like a great step forward, especially because it's quite a short time, just last year at LUXE that we met. But in total, over the course of Woola's history, we've sold 1.8 million parcels. And we did this calculation recently of like how much plastic we have replaced. And we calculated the surface area. And the surface area is equal to 17,000 parking spots worth of plastic that we've been able to replace.
Incredible. Okay. And what are my last question is your next steps in terms of company strategy, in terms of development. What's next for Casa Zanoni and outside of this collaboration? And what is next for Woola?
Ideally, I would love to have boxes biodegradable instead, of using boxing that can be recyclable and whatever. So that would be the perfect. And I have also a big project, like remove all the glass.
Ah, okay.
Glass is good, but it's not.
You mean remove glass from olive oil
On the
packaging?
bottle,
And
yeah, trying to find a solution in that way, to
Okay,
have
okay.
pouch or something. You know, I'm not an inventor,
Right.
so I'm looking for someone that can help me.
Okay.
And remove glass. I think if you have one glass bottle, is enough in your house, and then you can reuse or just glass.
Refill?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
The refill
So you're very
solution,
ambitious.
It could be. We
Yeah,
have
it's great.
to.
It's good.
We have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thanks.
It's the future.
Yeah, so for us, most of our plans are related to scaling and increasing our sales. So our production capacity right now is very high, but we are not selling all that we can produce. Because I guess for most startups, the biggest challenge is finding sales and building up your sales. So we have a lot more that we could produce and a lot more companies that we could help. But when we first entered the French market like 3 years ago, we were a startup from Estonia.
And
it wasn't easy, like we didn't have any references. And packaging is a really important decision. Like it's what you use when you ship your products to your end users, the first thing that they see. So companies are not like taking this lightly. They want to make sure that you're reliable, you can deliver, you're not like, scamming them.
Constant,
Yeah, so at first it was way more difficult for us to reach these big companies in France. But with every new client that we sign, it becomes easier because we have case studies, references, and we need to do it fast because we need to get rid of plastic fast.
Okay, so all of you brands out there know where to go. Thank you very much. Are there any questions in the audience? No questions? Yes. There's a microphone there, yeah.
Hello. Can you explain why there is 90% of waste in the wood in farmers? I didn't knew that.
Yeah, I also didn't know it when I first read this article. It's quite shocking. So the type of wool that we have in Europe from sheep that grow here, the quality is very low. So if you were to use it in textiles, if you would make like a sweater from it, it would be so scratchy that you couldn't wear it. It would be too uncomfortable. So the kind of wool that is used in wool sweaters or socks is imported from merino sheep from Australia or New Zealand.
Thank you.
So it's for food. It's for food. The sheep are for food, and the wool is.
Some of it, yeah. Also for maintaining grasslands quite a lot, especially in small-scale farms like we have in the Nordics.
Great. I think we're out of time. Right? Yes, we are. Thank you very much to both of you, and good luck.
Thank you.